All right, friends, we got some troubles right here in Charles City with this feller, and we're going to address that real quick right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, Frosty Oliver Man. This is my flat top fendered 770, one of the later varieties that they made when they switched to the 4-digit series, and they kept this around a while. I really like these tractors. I like the styling. I always wanted one, and I got this one at an auction, that auction that's just down the road from me. A good number of years ago when I bought my hay mower, I was wanting to go for this hay mower. They had this tractor there. I ended up buying both and hooked them together and drove the rig home. And it has been a pretty good one. I mean, I don't use it very much. Its job has sort of become permanently post hole digger. And the only reason why is because it's got this cheapo aftermarket 3-point hitch, which basically I do not like this hitch, other than the fact that it works excellently for this post hole digger. And with a little fab, I really need to just drill a hole to do it, but I just do it with a chain. But if you hold this piece to this piece, it has down pressure, and that's something that you don't get on regular 3-point hitch. And there are times when that is super handy. So this thing's been in a handful of videos, you know. I put this seat on it, which I really like, super comfortable, the deluxe seat. And I don't know, just different things, you know. Obviously it was in the videos where we put this new post hole digger together, but it's got a little bit of an issue and we have to address it. This is as far as I made it because I didn't want to run it anymore, but I'll explain in a second, I guess. I'll take you out here to the field of failure here and show you what was happening. So here lately, these bovines have been driving me nuts. There's always that one that doesn't care about the electric fence and it just walks out. And people were calling all the time saying, "You got this cow out, calves out." Well, then another group of them, these young calves, decided that they were going to go a totally different way and they would get out on the road, and people were calling, and I thought, I've had enough of this. So back whenever we built this section of fence here, I think I did that on a video, I ran out of time and never got around to it, and so I didn't have any way to close them off in here. So the other night in the dark, I started working on that, and I got my 2 gates hung and the second section of, you know, wooden posts down there. And actually, well, in the dark, that's about as far as I got, because my plan was through Christmas time, I was going to keep them pinned up here in prison so that they could not get out, and I would get calls like right in the middle of something that I'd have to go drop what I'm doing and take care of it. So yeah, I understand now why Grandpa in the wintertime would never let them out of this pen. And that is why, because it was, he didn't want to deal with what I was dealing with. For the last few years, I've just let them kind of do their thing, and they've basically been good. They haven't ever caused me any trouble, but this year, I don't know, there's a few troublemakers that were not playing nice. So I was down there digging those post holes in the dark. That was probably the day before Christmas Eve, I think, when that was, and I was digging post holes in the dark, which was fine. And then I turned the tractor around to use the headlights to point at what I was doing so I could keep working, and the tractor was sitting there idling. And I went one time to move, I think I was on this side, and as I was walking up here, I noticed on the ground there was a whole bunch of oil. You could just see the difference with the way the light hit it. A shiny puddle of oil. It wasn't just muddy water or anything. So I thought, uh-oh. So when I looked around here, my sending unit here decided to open up and start leaking. I noticed the other day when we moved it that light was kind of acting erratic and it wasn't going off, and you know, different things. But I thought, oh boy. So I didn't know how much oil it still had in it at that point because it had been sitting there idling for a long time. So I drove it on up out of here and shut it off, and I thought I'll deal with you later. I thought that I had one of those on hand because I've had this trouble numerous times. This tractor and the 1800A both have one of these, and they're equally as unreliable. Those things now, the sending units are just not made very good. They, I don't know, they want to do this same thing, start leaking. I don't know that I've ever had one with such a visible crack. Usually they leak like around where they're put together, but that doesn't really matter. The point is it's leaking, and that makes it junk. So what to do? I looked, I did not have one on hand, so I got on the internet and ordered one. But in the meantime, till that gets here, I would like to use this. So what to do? Well, I dig around in my parts stash of stuff, and I found this, which looks similar. However, we don't know anything about this. This could be a totally different PSI than what is supposed to be. You know, we learned that from the 4180 project. You know, it has 2 sending units and they're both different ratings. So, you know, I can't remember what this one's supposed to have. For some reason, it's stuck in my mind that it's like a 5 PSI makes that come on. I can't remember, but there's, I don't know. You can't just look at them and say, oh, it's the same thing, because it's not. So anyway, I want to put this one in temporarily so that the thing's not just sitting here not doing anything, in case I really got more fence stuff I'd like to do. So we can slap this in. However, then we're going to have to make ourselves a little jumper, because this kind is the post style and this is the, yeah. So I'll have to make one and then like put a bolt through them and bolt it together, and then when the other one comes we can put it back the way it's supposed to be. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. I will need, and I don't have now, which is amazing because I've got like 200 rolls, thread tape. I'm gonna have to grab some of that, and probably actually for this job an adjustable would be about as good as anything, because we got 2 different sizes of stuff to deal with here. So let me round up that stuff and I'll bring you right back. All right, so normally I use an adjustable wrench because I can't find the regular tools. This time I can't find the adjustable wrench, so I'm going to use stuff that's even worse, because I know people like it when I do that. Sure, I've got tons of the right size wrench, but if I can use this and upset people, why, then that's what I'm going to do. Sweet. Or not. I thought I'd put that on there so I didn't drop it for now. Will this take it out? It should. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. See, on this one, you're kind of, you've got the tack cable right where you are, so you got to have something that'll. Let me go get the correct tools, I tell you. Sure. I thought about getting the impact, and then I could really upset you. Well, if it wasn't bad before, it's bad now. Yeah. So sad that something like that That's all it takes. I guess I could glue the crap out of it, but yeah, that's not a good idea. And yeah, you can get these from the auto parts store, but like I said, we need to know what, we would need to know what rating they're supposed to be. This is kind of a, the way they made this, I think it would have been better if they put the sending unit either in the oil gallery or somewhere where it wasn't sticking out so far. Yeah, I could move it to there, but I don't know. It's fine like it is. We'll just deal with it. It just seems like I've had to do several of these. Oh, that's a different size. How nice. It just makes me wonder whether or not it doesn't get bumped because it's out here in the open, and that's why it does what it does. Let's be careful so we don't accidentally crack it while we're... All right, that's that. Now, we're gonna have to make us a temporary jumper to go from this to eyelet style. I guess I could just wad it up with tape or something, but no. It's not that much more difficult to just go ahead and make a little something. So that's what I'm gonna do. Sure. Now, you could go ahead and just run it like this. That would keep oil from leaking. However, you wouldn't know if the light came back on or whatever. So we're hoping that this works so that we just have something for now. And I like recycling, so I found this broken alternator plug that had a little end of wire sticking out of it. So that's what we're gonna use to make this little transition piece for temporary sake, see? It doesn't matter if it bumps into something. All this is ground, so it'll just make it, you know what I'm saying? The worst that could happen is the light come on. So we're gonna take these. We're gonna do this here. And hopefully, for now, that'll get us fixed up. Until the originals get here. Yeah, I probably should have brought a screwdriver. Didn't think about that. Luckily, there's one kind of one, a bent one, close by in the toolbox. There. Sure, good enough. That should get us where we need to go for temporary. Now we'll try it out and see what happens. We only have two requirements: not leaking and the light going out. If we can only have one of the two, I'll settle for not leaking. That way, at least I can move it around. Now, as much as I like climbing up and down for no reason, oh look, a mouse has decided to build a house. We're gonna have to deal with that in a minute. Let's see here. Yes, I do remember that when I parked it here, when we start this, those cows are gonna freak out because they like, yeah. I'm looking at these, my little watchamies there that tell you what they are have fallen away, and so now all you have is just lights. So you got two lights. It probably won't run. Aw. Well, that's staying on. It's not going out. two possibilities. Number one being that that thing's garbage. Number two could be that it's not at all the right pressure, and so it's not working. I'm gonna lean towards that thing's probably garbage. And then there could be the ultimate possibility that the wiring is messed up on the tractor. Let's go back up there. It looks like maybe it went out. Maybe it just took a minute because it had air in it. No? Well, it does seem to get brighter when it dies, so. So it's just on the verge of going out. Whatever. Okay, tractor. I'm satisfied enough that without stirring all the bovines up, that'll do us for today, is what I'm saying. See, I haven't really done a whole lot with this tractor when I got it. I made some quick improvements, like one of the fenders was horribly mangled, and actually they both were. So I had a spare set where one of them was decent, and that was this one. So I took it and put it on here. The other one I think I made out of two fenders because it was bad, and that's hence why the gray strip across there was a lot of cutting and filling in there, because I wanted to paint it, but that never happened because I don't like the brush paint job, you know. Somebody painted this with a brush, and this is kind of an abomination, whatever they did here. So I had thought I would get to that, but I just never did. So that's why it's kind of in an eternal state of not finished, like most stuff around here. I got it where it was usable, and then that was that. I got the charging system working because it wasn't charging at all. That gauge has been replaced, which, however, now it really kind of disappoints me that those little things fell out of there over the lights, because yeah, that's a brand new gauge, and basically it hasn't done much. It has very little hours since all of that. I had to, what else? I put in a factory choke cable, which doesn't really work great in this application. There's a brace behind the dash that the factory choke cable there wants to hit, and then it kind of puts it in a bind, so I had to do something about that. I put in a new key switch and a light switch back when I got it, and then when the fenders, I got the lights working because I thought that would be nice. And then basically that was it. I kind of just, I never got to mess with the wiring anymore, and I need to, because if I remember right, I don't think that the temperature gauge works either, and that could either be the sending unit or that could be a problem with the wiring. I don't know, but we need to do it. I mean, that's a brand new gauge cluster, so it ought to work. I mean, it should work. But this thing has been relatively trouble-free. I mean, I drove it home from the sale and just been using it for things. I did have the manifold was in bad shape, and I took it somewhere and they brazed it all up for me because he was better at that than me. It's starting to crack again in places. I was thinking at the time they were back ordered on these and I couldn't get a different one, so I just went ahead and had this one brazed up and then around this tube like I do on all of them, so that they hold the muffler straight up. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good one. We're gonna have to get probably the carburetor rebuilt because it's acting up, and I got to run it with the choke mostly out, so we got to do that. I started working on brakes on it one time, and I don't remember what the reason was. I think that one was locking up, and so I worked on, is it this side is, I think I rebuilt or something. I don't remember what I did. I got it where it worked gooder, but this side wanted to lock up, and I think it doesn't have a brake in it. Yeah, I think it's I think I took one disc out, so we need to address that at some point, because it'd be handy to have brakes. You know, there's some times when you need both. So yeah, but that's the plan, and at least now it's mobile again and it won't puke out all the oil while we're using it. So what else can you hope for, you know? It's kind of unusual. I've talked about that before. It's got a belt pulley, and a tractor this light with a belt pulley. I mean, this is, yeah, that's kind of unusual to have a belt pulley on one of these. And consequently, if you didn't know, I know I brought it up in a video before, this is a different pulley than all the others. There is, if you think back to like the Fleetline tractors, it was a, what, a K691A, I think that's the part number for the pulley for the Fleetlines, because K obviously being 88 part numbers, and 88 came first. So the part numbers were whatever they used it on first, but you could have a K pulley on a 77 or 66 because it was the same on the Fleetlines. Then when you get to the Super, that changed a little bit. The 77 and 88 used the K691 pulley. However, the Super 66, which is consequently right here. Forgot about that. Look how much smaller in diameter it is. It uses an L691A pulley, and maybe why I can't. Okay, well, that's not wanting to turn, but that's fine. You can see 1L691. So that is much different diameter to compensate for engine speed and to keep the pulley running the same RPM or some such thing. So for a long time I thought, well, those are the only two variants of pulley you could find. Consequently, that one is almost impossible to find. This, though, when I was looking at it, actually has a different part number on it. And it might be on the back of this one. I gotta try to remember. But yeah, it's back here, and I guess you probably, I can't get the camera to bend in there, but it's stamped in there. But it's got like a 101 something part number, like a you would have with the 50 series style part numbers, and it is a different diameter as well. So if you're out hunting pulleys, as far as I know, there's 3 different variants you might encounter. The K691 you find all over. It's virtually worthless. I mean, 40 bucks would buy you a nice one of those. I mean, that's just the way it is. But if you find one of these, or especially one of those, you got something, and you're gonna probably have to open your wallet to buy one if you need one. But anyway, not to go down a road of something we talked about before, but unusual that a 60s model tractor like this, somebody ordered it with a belt pulley. You know, most of these were ordered with the power booster, which was not a very reputable thing, but it's just interesting. So anyway, I'm satisfied that this is going to temporarily get us by until our actual piece comes. And maybe one of these nights we got nothing to do, we'll pull that carburetor off and give it a good washing. I'll need to pick up a kit in town. I'm pretty sure I know the number of what I need, but anyway, they should have it on the shelf. I buy enough of them. And we can get that all cleaned out, and hopefully she'll be a good runner again. I really like this tractor. It runs good, and I mean, it had almost new tires all the way around when I bought it. The worst thing about it was painted with a paintbrush absolutely everywhere, and it's going to be a very difficult process probably to get that smoothed out where you could do something with it that, you know what I'm saying. But cosmetics are a secondary thing around here. I need them to run first and be able to use them. And this is a fence builder, and it does a good job at it. I would like to, though, take it loose and use it for other things like hay raking, and just to get to run it a while, because it never gets to really run that long. You know, you dig a few post holes, and then you put it back in the shed and shut it off. The other night was the longest it's run in a long time. I mean, I had it sit there run while I was working, and then almost melted it down because it was puking all the oil out. But yeah, so always eternal projects to work on, and I got plenty of other people's to work on, so I just got to sneak mine in the dark or whenever I can. It did lose a little bit of oil, but not enough to cause the sadness to happen quite yet. But I'm glad I noticed it, because that would have been sad if it sat there and pumped itself dry and then ruined the motor. So yeah, anyway, we will probably call this one here. I will probably have some mercy on them and turn them loose for a while today to go play out and about and get exercise, but I'll do it while I'm here watching so that they don't run away, because I'm tired of chasing stuff. And so we get the post hole digger tractor fixed. We're going to continue on our fence building. I was going to go that way first and work on this nighttime pin, because the way he did it, I don't know, he chose the shortest distance between 2 points, and so it went at a weird angle out there. And that's always kind of bothered me, because there was always like this wet little corner in there that a lot of times you couldn't get the tractor to mow it. I don't know. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it square, and that's going to be part of this nighttime pin, and that'll give them more room at night if I have to keep them in here or whatever. And also I'm going to back up that back one maybe about 20 feet, and then they'll have a little bit of trees that they can be in, which is a good thing too. I like it where they can get in shade when I'm not here if they have to be for some reason kept in here. I don't like to keep them in here just imprisoned, but in times when I don't have time to chase after them, if something happens, that's what this is for. Also, it's nice to have places you can keep stuff where they won't get out of in different situations. But I think instead of working on that right now, my bigger focus is I want to go that way and fix this pin around the barn, which they've just decimated over the last few years. I don't know, they just, what it amounts to is there were cattle panels along the back side, and then the other side it transitioned to hog panels, which are a lot shorter. You know, if you look at these, they're probably till here, and cows don't really, they can jump over that, see? Well, there used to be a hog pen there, so he just had that bordered, and I think there was an electric wire he had run around one time, and that was enough to keep him behind the barn. But I don't want that. I want another pin like this one with cattle panels all the way around it, and have that behind the barn so I can put them in there. Or I can, when I wean stuff, I could put wean cat. That's what we always did, was put them in there, but then they'd always jump out over those short panels and get out. So I want another 6 foot tall, or not 6 foot, but what do you call these, 50-inch panel pin. But if I get that done, then there'll be 2 places I could put them potentially where they'll not be too crowded, and they will definitely stay in, because they won't probably go through these unless you get one that's crazy. But that's the eventual plan. It's just taken a long time, so hopefully this year is the year that happens. But it's I got to clean out the old stuff as I go. Well, that's difficult too right now because of the wetness. This place is so wet that there's just, you can't really get a tractor everywhere you need to go right now. You can in the middle of summer, but that's about it. So everything you do now has got to be by hand and on foot. So I don't know. But another strategy that I've been doing, which has helped a little bit, is I'm not building it in the same place. I'm moving it so that I'm starting on a fresh piece of ground that I have cleared, and it's not, I don't have to work around the trash. So I can build the new one and pull the old one up later if I have to, but you got to do it in such a way that they can't get between the two, because then they would destroy the new one. I know how they operate. They'll find a place and just ruin everything. they did that to this. I put this all in new, and they totally ruined this. That was partially because of someone who was not me feeding them and stuff right over the edge of this fence. And then, yeah, that didn't work too good, so we'll have to redo this at some point, but I don't know. It's progress. It's just taking a while, and that's going to be this year's plan, because I need some control over this a little bit better than what it was. And there were reasons why I didn't do it before, but that's really not important right now. We'll talk about stuff like that later, but I'll do what I want, is what I'm saying now. So I'm going to make it like I want it, and hopefully we can have this under control, because I don't know, there's some that should have been sold last year, and it just didn't happen because of all the stuff going on. And then now, of course, it's not the time of year to sell. The price is not usually the best that it could be. So I don't know, we'll figure it all out. But step one is making sure our fence rig tractor was ready to go, and we got that done. So hopefully we can continue on our progress here and make that nice, because it just looks nice. It makes me happy to come out and see that instead of mangled stuff, you know. But there's still a lot of work to do. We got a lot of stuff to clean up and scrap the junk ones, and then we got, you know, that pole needs to go and do something different. I've talked about that before. That one was also tall, and he had it like, he thought it looked like a western scene or something. He had a cross pole between the two. I don't know. But anyway, that's going to go away because it's about routed off at the bottom. And then I need to get up there and disconnect that electric line that's going to it and change all that stuff and do this and that and whatever. And I don't know. I mean, we got a list of stuff to do that is 100 years long. So we'll just have to keep plugging away and see what we actually get accomplished. But yeah, that's the plan. As always, if you enjoy my videos, give them a thumbs up. Leave a comment and tell me how dumb you think I am. Or if by some slim chance you liked it, say that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.